Can you hear Dana
Got
White
it?
in the background?
I can. Is Dana on? What's happening tonight?
I just turned him off. He was on Stab's most recent podcast. I was just trying to listen to it.
Dana White was?
Yeah, because he's the producer on The Ultimate Surfer.
Oh, yeah. So he was on Stab's podcast?
So Stab does a, first of all, that's your little sauna spa room or whatever, meditation yoga room?
The Zen Room.
Zen room. Sorry, I got the title wrong. Cheers.
It's okay.
Cheers.
What are you drinking, David?
I've got it's a variation on the Negroni. It's equal parts bourbon, Campari, and vermouth.
Nice. You're putting me to shame.
The Negroni would be gin instead of bourbon, but there is an actual cocktail that is this. It has a name. I didn't just make it up. I just don't know what the name is.
Oh, I remember having it before.
It looks like the word boulevard, like boulevardier or something.
It's the French one.
Okay.
It's the bowl. Oh, I know exactly what you're drinking, and I'm jealous.
That's good. What do you got?
Topo Chico with a twist of grapefruit, and that's it.
There's no booze?
No, it's a real bummer.
I thought May was your month off.
Yeah, it is. I'm playing through.
Holy cow, dude. Is this instigated by your wife, or did you decide to do this?
No, I did have a couple drinks today, but got home and didn't when you get off the drink program and there's no drink in the house, and then I'm just not motivated to go buy a drink. And so then there's no drink in the house. And since I'm not muscle memory to make a drink, then I just don't care. Yeah. Okay. Back to Topo Chico.
You are a very different person.
Yeah, totally. I am totally different. Yeah, it's a bummer.
I don't know what to make of this.
It's in a fancy cocktail cup with a fancy cocktail ice cube.
You could have fooled me. I do like Topo Chico with lime and tequila.
Oh, yeah. I mean, lime and tequila is good. Topo Chico with anything. But have you tried the Topo Chico? Yeah, I suppose you have. The twists?
Yeah. Okay, I removed your laptop.
Okay, we're back. Wow, we went to space there for a minute.
Topo Chico, tequila, and lime juice. It's called ranch water.
Oh, like it. I like the name too.
Me too.
But not as good as your Belieber, your Bombardier. How much do you like when you fly? Do you notice when you fly an airplane who makes the airplane?
No.
You never pay attention. Okay, is this an Airbus or is this a Boeing? You don't?
I do not. I don't pay attention. If it's noted, yeah, I'll then maybe catalog it in my brain, but I don't actually look for that in advance, as a sign of whether or not it's going to crash or how good the ride is going to be, how smooth it's going to be.
I just enjoy anytime I'm on a Bombardier is a Canadian brand of airplane. So sometimes your mid-rangers will be a Bombardier, which is awesome. The Russian airlines are often, I'm blanking on the name, but the Russian ones are all good. They have their own manufacturer, which is fun. Yeah, start paying attention to what you're flying.
Is the flight any different?
I feel it is. I feel when you pay attention to it, it is. You'll notice the little things.
Well, what I mean, if you ride in a Porsche, it's a different ride than, let's say, a Honda. Does the same thing exist in the air?
Yes, but I think what you're comparing is a Porsche to, say, a Maserati. Not that the Maserati is good, so that's a bad comparison. You're comparing you're comparing a Audi to a Peugeot.
Okay, and in which plane is the Audi in this analogy?
I'm going to say that in this analogy, clearly, I mean, it'd be an American car, I suppose. It would be, you're in a very fancy Ford. What's the fanciest Ford car you've ever been in? Ford 500.
Yeah, but I think the Raptor, the actual truck, is now the fanciest. That's like a $90,000 truck, So, but I've never been inside one.
So it would be okay. That's a good analogy though, but not the Raptor. Like a Ford F-150 versus a real nice Peugeot. Peugeot being Airbus, Ford F-150 being Boeing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and one is not better than the other. One is different than the other. You just notice little things. A little more legroom here, maybe. A little better bathroom here, maybe. A bidet over there, maybe. Have you ever had a bidet on an airplane?
No, I have not.
Have you ever flown Emirates?
No, I haven't. The thing is, I don't want a communal bidet.
They don't have bidets on any airplane
Okay,
I've ever
good.
flown.
Good. Because I suppose even the hotel bidet is communal.
And I think I've talked about it on the before, but they have bidets. When I studied in Cairo, they had bidets. Have I talked about this? Have I shared this?
We've talked about bidets, but I don't remember a specific story.
In Cairo, they have the bidet is not a separate part of the toilet. It is part of the toilet. It is a tube in the middle of the toilet.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you're dropping shish kebabs on there and then blasting it straight back up if you so choose.
That is a terrible, terrible design.
Yeah, the design flaw.
Well, first, we got a bunch to get into. Firstly, I want to let you and all the listeners know we're giving away a surfboard this month. We did give away one last month. Kevin Hammer was the lucky winner. But this month, we're giving away a Channel Islands 2 Happy.
What? 2 surfboards, 2 months?
I'm gonna try to queue them up. I mean, I was doing one every other month, and that was doable, but I think we might be able to do them more frequently than that. We've got enough support at this point from board builders that that I think we might be able to do them, if not every month, let's say 8 a year.
I mean, that's just, I'm telling you, said it once, said it twice, said it a million times. This is better than playing the lottery here. Subscribing to the Surf Splendor Network, better than the lottery.
Well, first of all, the $5, you won't even notice missing. It helps us in all the ways that we've stated a million times before. You can get an ad-free listening experience and then potentially win a surfboard. That's just the cherry on the top. It's worth it for all those other reasons, but winning a surfboard, it's like, it's an epic. And Channel Islands, obviously, it's the 2 Happy. It's what you've seen everybody riding. Dane Reynolds riding recently. So,
is it Dane Reynolds' shape?
I don't think so. It's kind of a collaboration. So it's based on the Happy model, which was like a very high performance shortboard. It was really designed for kind of the elite level pros, team riders. This one is designed for the everyman. So it has some subtle adjustments made for a wider range of surfers and a wider range of conditions.
When they say wider range of surfers and wider range of conditions, don't they really mean shittier surfers and shittier conditions? Is that what board? I mean, what if you were a board surfer? Come on, Brett Merrick. Why don't you just say this board is for you, i.e., shit and shitter?
I think by wider range of surfers, they're referring to the waistline.
Yeah.
It's literally for wider range surfers. Anyways,
that's good.
Anyways, if you don't already support this network, you can do it on surfsplendorpodcast.com and still be included in this giveaway, which we will announce on July 1st. So look forward to that.
Imagine you're going about your day, having a day, and you get a notification that you just won a surfboard. How happy would you be?
Kevin Hammer was pretty psyched. I posted his email response in my Instagram stories, and you could see how psyched he was. And it turns out he's a good surfer too. He's up in Ventura and he's posting Instagrams of himself doing airs and getting barreled. So I think he will, he's a great winner. I'm glad to see guys like that win.
Fantastic.
Looks like you got yourself into some hot water on Instagram when you reposted a video of New York City athletes, gym rats, trying to surf. What happened?
Whoever knew that they were so sensitive? I thought we were all having fun here. I thought everybody was in on this joke that if you're doing something fully kooky, that's like, that was positively kooky, right? I mean, there was no 2 ways around it. Going around the camera, around the room, for those who weren't able to see it, do the draconian fist of Instagram and the surf set, whatever, New York club. Camera pans around the room to a bunch of people getting up like multiple people commented, including Matt Bialis, how many of them were goofy, as in goofy footed, which was funny. Like, there's no way that many people are goofy in real life, but I think like a good 80% of them popped up goofy, which
because the instructor probably did. And so they were following the instructor.
Probably exactly right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, fans around the room to the instructor at the end who gives like double barrel shot because you whole thing is like totally laughable. They should have been able to laugh at it too. Like, oh yeah, surfers think we're, this is goofy. And clearly it is. We're not trying to mimic anything in the ocean. This is a, appropriation of surf for fitness and, whatever, laugh it off. They did not laugh it off. They sent a sternly worded message to Derek Riley. We do not appreciate you making fun of us. We have been out of business through the pandemic. We're working as hard as we can. We just opened back up. We contribute a lot to the surf space. We teach our students how to be good in the water, the etiquette and all this kind of stuff. Furthermore, whatever. And then a separate one that said, somebody commented about the leash around the nose and said they should put them around our necks. The leash around the neck thing, that's like something an enslaved person would have, and that is not cool. Take this down now. So there we had it. And we didn't take it down. Instagram took it down. Instagram is so quick on that stuff these days.
So the commenter is the one who made the comment about these people should be putting the leash around their neck rather than their foot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't your caption.
No, that was a commenter said like,
but they felt bullied by it.
They felt bullied, and then I put it up later on my own personal. That was on Beach Grits. I put it up on Beach Grits too, but then I put it up on my own personal and wrote, "This is what cyberbullying was made for," as the caption, and that did not go over well either, and it got ripped right down very quickly.
Okay, so my first thought was, like, try to imagine us appropriating a different culture and doing the kookiest version possible, like hula dancing. Sure. Is the first one that I thought of. If you and I went to a local studio, like a gym, and they had a hula class, and you and I put on the skirt and we started doing it, and we were like, laughably goofy, bad doing it. And then the internet somehow made that viral, and there was a video of you and I trying to hula dance, and everybody was making fun of us. I can't imagine actually contacting the person who posted that video and complaining that I was getting made fun of about hula dancing. I would accept. It's insane. It's insane. I think New York is like the kind of epicenter of, maybe not New York itself, but like big cities on the coast are the epicenter of snowflake culture. And them being offended by that is just so asinine to me. I can't imagine it.
I mean, it is the dictionary definition of, was it turtle? You're so Howley, you don't even know you're Howley? Or turtle didn't say that. Who said that? Somebody said that. Like, they had no clue even. They thought they were doing something legitimate. And I mean, I don't know how you don't know. That's the problem. If like, right. I could even understand, okay, if you and I were being goofy hula dancing, we'd probably get in trouble for culturally appropriating a Hawaiian thing and making fun of it.
Yeah, from those exact New Yorkers who were mad at you for making fun of them about surfing. They would be the ones who complained about us hula dancing.
Totally. But imagine we like started a bowling workout class, right? Where you had a ball and you went back and forth with the ball to work out your arm. And then you did like a fist pump like they do when they get a strike to work out your biceps and all this kind of stuff. I mean, and then the bowlers poke fun, like, look at these guys pretending they're bowling, because that's essentially all it was. Look at these kooks, I mean, It was obviously kooky. And again, and then to have the lack of sense to say, you bowlers, you don't even know. We're doing this seriously. Right. We're shape with your thing. And like, it's just, I mean, I suppose that's where we're at culturally, where they could feel justified in sending an email after fully ripping off a culture that they are very clearly mocking. I mean, and the fact they don't know they're mocking it is even, I mean, layer upon layer of, that's where we are. Very bizarre, snowflakey, hurt feelings, a complete, utter lack of understanding about what anything is.
So they weren't just on a yoga mat practicing a surf stance. They were actually on a board that has like three balls underneath it that's supposed to mimic the sense of being on a on a wave or on the water. And Derek referenced what that product is in the article that he wrote about this whole debacle. I did not click on that product. Do you have any idea what it sells for?
Yeah, I didn't see what it sold for. It is the Surf Set is what it's called. And I know they were on Shark Tank. And
Oh, they were.
And what's his name? Who's the basketball owner guy? Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban.
Sorry. Mark Cuban, like Shark Tank bought it or whatever you do. So Mark Cuban is apparently an investor.
Well, good job doing your research on this. I just Googled it. They sell for $400 each.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible investment from Cuban. He clearly doesn't understand the space. I mean, that'll never take off in the gym environment either. So that topic and this is a segue to our episode today, which is dedicated solely to the vow.
Oh yes. Perfect.
After our discussion last week about, I think it might've been spawned by Paul Theroux's book. Oh no, it was a listener email that included Paul Theroux's book as well. But the listener email was about like whether or not he's a vow.
Yeah.
And, I got so many emails. That was a really hot topic for a lot of people. So lots of vow emails that I'm going to read to you and have you weigh in on.
Excited.
The first bit of feedback actually was, I'd say I got, let's say 5 to 8 emails about Justin Bieber stating that I am completely incorrect in my assessment about Justin Bieber. Frank says, please Google Bieber playing guitar as a 12-year-old. He was straight up serious, impassioned, and a serious talent. He has chops. Totally agree and understood with your screed against talentless Instagram wannabe starlets. The idea that money-grubbing, talentless wankers think they can rise up with no effort makes me repulsed. There's probably a bunch of good examples of them, but I don't believe that Bieber is one of them. He is actually the real deal. Loved the episode. Thanks, from Frank.
Agree, Frank, 100%. I tried to set David straight in the moment. I didn't do a good enough job. Thank you for coming in harder and hotter.
A bunch of people did, close friends and internet strangers alike. Somebody sent me a link to NPR's Tiny Music Desk, which is a series that I love. And I guess Bieber did one, and it's supposedly really good. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I will.
So has your mind changed all yet? Are you reassessing Justin Bieber in the pantheon of what you appreciate as good music?
I think everybody's probably right. And so, yeah, I actually said to that person, because I love Tiny Music Desk, I will give this a shot. Like that's the one kind of gateway drug for me that could get me into Bieber. I don't think I'm going to become like a listener of his music, but I could certainly change. I'm open to changing my mind.
Great. Well, exciting. That's I'm excited pathway that you're about to embark on. I've been a Belieber for years, listened to most of his albums, really like the latest one. So anytime you want to talk about on the program, I'm happy to do it.
Okay, cool. I think that could be a recurring theme. Before I get into the vowels, there was one short email that's worth reading. He said, "Dear DLS, having been at a few of the surf ranch competitions in person, I can testify in court if needed that Matt Wilkinson, aka Uncle Willie's current attempt at humor was a late onset mental lapse caused by his being forced to go to Lemoore. I'm just thankful that the finals are going to be in the ocean this year." Jeff.
I mean, it could be that Uncle Willie went to, and we all do it. Like when you're somewhere, fish out of water like that. I probably did it in Australia. I for sure did it in Australia. Like in a, far flung pub, ordering pints and eating meat pies and whatnot, and being all Australian, right? Thinking I was Australian, putting on Australiana. And then if I made an Australian, album, that would be that, right? Where I could fully see Matt Wilkinson going to Lemoore, sitting in the Tachi Palace there, pretending he was country, ironically, and then that accidentally sticking.
So it's the same thing as Madonna, like having a British accent after living there for a little while. It's like an extension of that. Wilco didn't know it was happening at the time. And it was late
He's,
onset, obviously, but
yep.
good. But it's a
Just
good thing that he appropriated cowboy culture and not Tachi Palace, like Native American Indian culture, because he absolutely would have been canceled had it been that
I
way.
mean, that would have fraught with landmines, especially if he was up in
Totally.
Canada right now. Been reading about Canada, the
No, what
takeover.
happened?
Oh, I mean, the Native Americans are basically saying, nope, we're done with this. We are taking our land back. It's over. It's a
What
wrap.
are what are they doing?
Just taking stuff over, just
Like
grabbing their stuff.
people's homes, retail spaces? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but I think it's that kind of energy where it's building towards that. Go Canada. Love
Interesting.
Canada.
Okay. Another email came through and said, enjoyed the latest show and the discussion around the Val/Al and Thoreau's book. Chaz's description of surfing as a consuming fire is great in both its simplicity and accuracy. I'd say, though, that it should be qualified as the fire burns at different intensities over the lifespan of surfing, from all consuming to various other levels. And maybe here, the surfer is different than the Val in the sense that it is always there, even if in the background. And as Chaz points out, can never be subjugated to a simple pleasure. So he's saying for the Val, it can just be a pleasurable thing they do on the weekend. For a surfer, it's all consuming. He said the only interesting writing on surfing revolves around this conflict, how to deal with this thing that is both seemingly an affliction, consuming way too much of your life and often meager returns, and yet it's the key to life. Finnegan's book is about this, and it includes his attempts to bail by riding trains, getting in MFA programs in Missoula, and being a serious writer at the New Yorker. Yet there he is at the end, an old guy, despite everything, still surfing icy cold winter New Jersey beaches. He goes on to say that Brian D. Salvatore's Finnegan Surf Buddy wrote a great article in the recent Surfer's Journal, but the fire for him is still lurking, even though he hasn't surfed in a long time. And so Paul Thoreau's book might have some compelling writing in there somewhere, I guess, but it misunderstands that fire and it becomes unreadable because of that. Anyways, thanks again for the discussion. Enjoyed it. CR in Cape Town, South Africa.
Bro, I mean, totally agree with all of that. And even like again on Finnegan, look at Finnegan tried to flee from writing by Missoula and all this kind of stuff, where what was his greatest success? He won his Pulitzer on a damn surf memoir. I mean, it was a
sucked in again,
straight up surf memoir. Sucked in.
Crazy.
Can't leave, man. Yeah. Can't leave.
So Carlos from Puerto Rico says, just listened to that episode and wanted to chime in on the discussion. In my opinion, the most critical factor in being a Val is awareness. Being a Val typically means that you're unaware of your status of actually being a Val. Once you become aware that you are a Val, then you cross over into becoming an Al, just a straight up adult learner. Or if you become aware and choose to remain a Val, which everybody is entitled to do so, you become the absolute worst type. This Val might be the one having the most fun at your local lineup, proudly owning all the mainstream surf brands, riding big, new, expensive boards. He really moves the surf industry's economic needle. This adult learner part will never go away for somebody who started surfing in their late 20s and 30s and beyond. Love the discussion, and it's all in good fun, and it's even therapeutic.
Did we speak last time? I got a DM from someone who said, I might have mentioned it. I thought it was so genius that the vulnerable learner who graduates becomes the grumpy adult learner, the gal. The grumpy adult learner, I thought was pretty good, where you're just a gal.
The gal.
Yeah,
Man.
Grumpy adult learner. We have grumpy locals, grumpy adult learner. I mean, grumpiness is really part of the surfing experience, right? I mean, it's essential even, I feel, to the core surfing experience. Is what really marks the Val is this like bizarre esoteric bliss kind of. And you know, when you're in the lineup and you hear somebody just blissed out about, oh man, I'm so happy to be out here in nature, just getting it. how annoying that is, because
Yes.
they're missing the grouch. Like, you have to have a little bit of the grump. Not that you have to be grumpy in that moment of like, you can totally experience that, man, I can't believe I'm out here and, sun is shining, water's warm, surf is fun, just had a fun wave. Better keep your damn mouth shut about all that. You better just sit there and glower at everyone.
This ties in really good to a barrel or gnaw that I have. So we'll come back to that exact detail. But yeah, that is part of the vow, is that because it's a weekend getaway for them, it is fun. And so it's all positivity for them. I spent a full decade being the gal, to be honest. Like, I started surfing when I was 12, and I would say from 12 to 22, maybe 25, I progressed and I kind of got better and better at surfing. And then for the next decade, I was not progressing, and all of my I don't know, the value that I placed on surfing was in the progression. And so once I stopped progressing, I'd go surfing on a Thursday and I wouldn't surf better than I did on Wednesday, and I would get angry and it would ruin my day. And so everybody says like, "Oh, the worst day of surfing is better than the best day of work," or whatever. And it's like, no, every day of surfing for me was super frustrating because I was only kind of either leveling off or getting worse. And I say thankfully, you might argue against it, but thankfully I've come around the bend on that to where it's not about progression anymore. And I find value in all sorts of other things. The simplicity of just, getting away from my phone or getting away from email, getting out in the cold water, getting out in the sun, all that sort of stuff. And inevitably
But
I catch a couple of waves, but the vow is just in that phase of just appreciating. I don't know.
I still hope, even in your appreciative moments, and we all should be appreciative. It's a great thing, no denying it's a great thing. But when you get done with a wave, uh, I hope part of what you're thinking always is, I could have surfed that better. Where I don't think the Val ever thinks that, right? Like, I think the Val says, that feeling, I had it, woo, woo, woo. Where I feel part of being of the all-consuming fire is when you finish a wave and you think, that was good. I should have done better. I blew it. I blew it a little bit. Like, a little bit of that, which I think leads back to the glower in the lineup. You paddle back out, not thinking, I just surfed that wave than anyone who surfed a wave ever. And also thinking, if you're like core bro girl, you have videos playing in your mind of Dane Reynolds,
Yeah.
of Tom Curran, of Derek Hind, of whoever your sort of archetypical surfer is. You're always like, it's all this input, right? Again, being a surfer is so much more than surfing. It's consuming surf media. I think it's, reading the magazines, like commenting on Beach Grit. It is watching every clip, or not every clip, but having watched clips, right? Where, so you have this picture in your mind, and when you're out there ripping, you better hope no one's taking a picture of you. Unlike Eric Logan, I am not going to post this anywhere, because in my mind, I wanted to be surfing like X, even stinking Jordy Smith. I wanted to be out there hitting that lip like Jordy Smith. I can think that in my mind. I can hold sort of an image of Jordy Smith doing it, attach that to my personal feeling. I know full well if I see a picture or video of that, that will not be the case. So don't show me that.
Man, you nailed it. It's 100% right. And that's part of the, I don't know, like idea without ever posting footage or photos of yourself surfing, is that exact thing. Is like, when you analyze it, you could have done better. And so therefore,
Yeah.
I'll wait until I get my next clip. And then you get the next one and you feel the exact same way. And so you'll wait for the next one. And you just can't post photos or footage ever.
Have you seen any of your wave key footage where you thought, oh, it wasn't bad?
No, it's all terrible, dude. It's ridiculous. And like, I've come up with a concept for how I can package it and put it out in public as a learning tool and like justify it, but it's freaking embarrassing, dude. Like, it's uh like, I don't know, our listeners are nice enough to where I bet our listeners would actually be complimentary about it, but I could never get over my own criticism about it.
The show we talked about Jimmy Kane Wilson's air at Waco. Remember Jimmy Wilson, photographer, popped that sick little air? Was that on the show? It sure was. We did talk about it. See, that's what I get for drinking twist of grapefruit, and that's all. So I got my memory intact. But so Jimmy Kane Wilson reached out and said, "Oh, I heard you guys talked about that. It's super fun. You could totally do it. I'll coach you, but it's definitely not easy." Which that was made me think, okay, Jimmy could actually coach me. If the guys who say, "Oh, doing an air is so easy. You just like doing a sick air, it's like pop it and land it. It's no worries." Like, then I know you don't know how to teach.
This ties into another barrel or nah. You've like highlighted, because it's a Val themed show, I suppose these themes are going to pop up repeatedly, but that's very close. We'll get to that again later.
Great.
Another listener said, "Hey, David, I've been wondering this for some time. And then I heard the guy from Florida last week ask if he was a Val. I'm sure you don't want to be answering this every week, but please, I have to ask. I've been surfing since I was 9. I lived in Argentina, 4 hours away from the closest wave. So I could only go on vacation, or I can only go surfing on vacations, or eventually when I got my license, I would go every other weekend. In the meantime, I would spend my time watching surf videos on YouTube, watching the championship tour, and reading whatever surf magazine I could lay my hands on, which was not an easy task in inland Argentina. I dedicated a lot of my life to surfing. I missed school and university to watch the CT. I worked at Quicksilver for 3 years, and I convinced my fiance to move to Australia, where finally I can get a surf on a daily basis. I even read Cocaine and Surfing. Do you want to interject real quick?
I was going to say already, now it's for sure. I don't know how this guy's like the chorus guy ever.
I know. Well, let me finish. He says, even with all of this, I'm still not a local anywhere, and I feel kind of like a kook or a Val. On the other hand, I cringe every time I hear my friends who picked up surfing in the last couple of years and have no respect for the rules or even know the rules that well. They don't know about surfers or history, and they don't seem to care. So can you tell me what category I fall into? Probably not a good one, I guess. I don't even surf that good. Cheers, Joaquin.
Joaquin, you're the chorus core ever. I give you the gift of chorus. I mean, to me, that's everything that embodies a core or a core. Like, that's everything that embodies like the anti-Val, right? Is working hard for it, loving it beyond anything, loving it through like an absurd amount that you're willing to A, drive long distances, B, give up a bunch of stuff, C, change your life around it, E, not ever be that good at it, F, read Cocaine and Surfing, right? Where like it's this, and it's a great life, but it's also it's a life consumed, which is exactly what Joaquin is. Yeah, Joaquin, chorus of the core. What you are.
The consuming fire is exactly that. It's nonsensical. It's you're terrible at this thing, and yet you commit your life to it. Like you're never going to be a pro surfer. You're never but you're going to abandon university. I mean, I guess you probably just missed classes probably, but still you're going to shirk all your obligations to go do this thing when the waves are good.
You're training like Julian Wilson to surf like yourself. Like you're spending,
or to surf like Julian Wilson.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Julian really blew it in Salvador, the savior.
So he's absolutely not a kook. I'll give him the designation of a lifelong intermediate, which I identify as well. But he's absolutely not a Val because, first of all, it stands for Vulnerable Adult Learner. He started learning when he was 9. And embracing the culture and trying to read all the text and understand the history and all of that is part of what comes with the identity of quote surfer as opposed to Val. And so the fact that he went through all of that rite of passage qualifies him as a surfer,
I mean,
no doubt.
the real truth is the adult learner categorization, you only can be if you learned as an adult. Like,
True.
then, yeah. But if you started at 9, even if you weren't local, and it doesn't, being local is not part. I mean, if you surfed once when you were 9 and then went again when you were 15, then really fell in love with it when you were 25, then maybe. But if you started when you were, and were like hitching rides 4 hours, then getting there as much as you could, and when you weren't at the beach reading surf magazines, then I don't know what else to say. But good on you, Joaquin. Way to waste your life.
I think Joaquin's a legit core surfer. I completely sympathize with his not being able to identify as a local anywhere. I've grown up, I mean, I've never lived outside of a, I don't know, 20-mile radius. And I still don't feel like a local anywhere because I didn't grow up at the beaches that I surf at. And I don't know, for the first 10 years had this delusion that whoever was surfing at the best spot lived at that spot. And then I realized as an adult, no, only millionaires live at that spot and none of those millionaires surf. So only, inlanders or renters or something surf there, but they're definitely not locals. And so I sympathize with that. And I think most people that surf frequently at a spot are not actually inhabitants of that local land.
I mean, I think there's the weird rare places like Santa Cruz has places where you have actual locals. La Jolla, I think you have actual locals, even though it's totally weird. Like people aren't driving into La Jolla I mean, I'm sure they're doing that
House
too.
Verdes.
But yeah, like there's places where there's like locals, but I think those places are far and few between. And the other places, like all of Huntington Beach, if you live in the zip code of Huntington Beach or adjacent to Huntington Beach, you can claim local status all day, every day, as long as I think you want it bad enough and you're just at that break day in, day out, right?
Just got to make the drive down and pay for parking at the parking lot. That's it.
Yeah. I'll out day in, day out.
So follow up on the Malibu conversation from last week as well. I got a message from the brothers Marshall. I got messages from all sorts of people laughing about the conversation, laughing, not at us in any way, kind of like agreeing with us about how silly the idea is of trying to lay claim to Malibu, and how transient everybody is at Malibu and how it's kind of an open public beach. But the other funny thing that's happened since then is that surfers stood up against Carla Zamora in the stand that she was taking and taking offense that they would be persecuted by her. So there's this whole backlash that is just, how dare you try to make this space uncomfortable for newcomers? We're newcomers and we have the right to feel safe in this open space.
I mean, that's the thing about Carla's, I think I said it last week, her Instagram post, like, it's not a bad idea. It's just the wrong spot, right? Like, you can't do that at Malibu. The idea that, hey, we should have some kind of order in the lineup, and we were talking about it last week, that exists naturally at most places where there is, it's called locals out the back who don't let you get waves and or yell at you and or whatever. But yeah, it's just, it was the wrong, I mean, I felt bad for the flack she got. I felt she got flack, right? Like she took down that or made her Instagram private right away and all this kind of, she must have felt like, oops, like she didn't like fight back on it. Right. And
right.
I wanted to say, yeah, poor Carla, don't feel bad. Like you were saying the right, you were just saying it at about the wrong place. Like you can't say that often.
Yeah, it often happens. I'm afraid that like, she's going to catch all of the vitriol because she became this tip of the spear for this much, much bigger thing. And
I mean, she became, imagine being called Malibu Karen now, like where her message wasn't necessarily Karenish. I mean, but that's the problem is it also was, I guess, like, it just depends on how you're looking. But if you choose to look at it like, no, come on, she's saying, hey, there's all these blow-ins and let's get control back. It's just that ship has sailed at Malibu. But yeah, being branded Malibu Karen, I'm sure is a bummer.
Well, I hope that I unfortunately, I think she probably did take it personally, but I hope that she doesn't take it personally. She just needs to recognize that she is this, I don't know, like this totem of this much, much larger theme, which is alienating new people, like making people feel uncomfortable and unsafe in a safe space, like in a public beach that you definitely don't own. And she wasn't threatening violence, but all but. And so the attacks weren't leveled at her directly. And I hope that she recognizes that, it's not a personal attack in any way. She's just going to catch all the flack from that.
Here's a problem for us to think about. Are all locals Karen-esque? Like localism definitely has elements of Karen mentality, like implied in it, right?
It
All
really does, dude. It
yeah.
really does. Holy cow.
Like
That's deep.
It is, you're thinking this belongs to me. I'm controlling it. I'm keeping order, right?
I've
This
been the
is
manager.
all
I have been the regulator of kind of decorum and decency for the last 30 years.
You guys getting out of line. If we let
Nobody's
somebody
told
get
me
out,
no.
yep, then everybody gets out of line. So I need to keep things in line. There's ways to do things. There are ways not to do things. You don't walk your dog that way. You don't give me a burger this way, whatever. Like there is so much. You don't surf a wave that way. Don't sit on me that way. There's a lot of Karen.
And all of the rules are implicit. They're not like explicitly stated anywhere. So if the Karen chooses to get offended because you didn't look at them in the eyes when you paddled by and acknowledged their presence, that's different than a different Karen in a different lineup who yelled at you for looking at them. They were like, oh, you should have looked down instead of look right at me. But you need to be aware of all of these different details, and otherwise the Karen might unleash.
Don't play rap music too loud in the park. Don't back paddle. It's all one and the same. Locals are Karens. Oops.
Wow. Deep. Locals are going to get canceled. Karen's the Karen I saw a popularity, because I'm looking at baby names right now. I saw a popularity ranking for the name Karen, and it was like at its lowest level of popularity since 1923 or something.
It's a real, like, Karens, God bless them, have gotten a bad rap, right? Like, sure, nobody wants somebody coming and barking at them for something, but yeah, poor Karens. A lot of times, just like locals, they're just trying to do their best here. They're trying to make the world a better place. There's a way to make the world a better place. Don't you just see? Don't you feel it like I do?
I've known a few Karens in my life, and they were all quality people. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I should check in with them, see how they're doing right now.
You should. Do you think they have been outed as Karens?
The fact that their name is Karen alone has put them in a bad situation in the last 12 months, maybe 24 months. And so I really should check in on their mental health, just make sure they're doing okay.
Imagine that you went through your whole, elementary school. Karen, how is Karen here? Yeah, Karen's here. High school, no problem. Karen, present. College, no worries. My buddy's Karen. Now, and your name represents everything that everybody hates with huge swaths of society out of nowhere. It wasn't like you had a goofy name as a kid and everybody was making fun of you, like a boy named Sue or something, toughened up.
Right.
You were just like going through life, no problem. You were, there's Karen, there's Sharon, there's Rebecca, Julie, just one of them. People don't call them Julie.
I'm realizing right now, the two Karens that I'm thinking about that I've known in, I don't know, my adult life are full-blown Karens, dude. They fit the stereotype perfectly. And I'm so not going to check in with them because I don't give a crap how they're doing. They're fully Karens.
Yeah, they'll Karen you.
But this might be an actual, like an accurate stereotype where every woman named Karen is an actual Karen.
take this behavior on.
Yeah. Do you know a Karen? Can you validate this?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure I do. I'm sure I know a handful of Karens, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Okay. Think about it. We'll come back. We'll run a spreadsheet and get back to the people next week.
Yep. And this is a good one for the listeners right here. Do you know what percentage of the Karens you know are Karens? What percentage of the locals you know are named Karen? If we could do the
we'll do an Instagram poll
where we have locals and Karens and then actual locals named Karen who are Karens. Wow. We could like load the universe.
I know. I feel like often our insights into life are not fully appreciated on this show. Sometimes we get a few emails about them, appreciating them, but by and large, underappreciated.
I got a good one. Yeah, I think you get way more emails than me, but I got a good one from a surf industry notable who I wouldn't have thought was going to laugh about our parking lot discussion, but had many, many laughs from last week.
You can't say their name on air.
Well, I just don't know if he would, if he wanted that public. But yeah, it made me laugh, like thinking, oh man, yeah, the goofy stuff we get up to. And yeah, the people that sometimes that's what they needed to hear, some goofy stuff.
So I'm not having a daughter yet, but if I were to have a daughter, one of the front running names would be Maya. I love the name Maya. Well, I love the name Maya, and Maya Gabeira fits into our Val conversation today. Her news story broke last week. Might have been a week and a half ago. She was on Graham Benzinger's YouTube show, who, by the way, I don't know if that guy's just working the algorithm or if he's got the most amazing team of producers, but he has popped up in my awareness more in the last year. I don't know who he is, where he came from, but
that dude really nails an interview somehow. Like he gets the right people, but I don't ever listen to the whole thing. So I don't know. Does he actually, but he clearly does, because that's why I think it's he gets Maya to say that Kelly cyberbullied her. That is
and
now,
Laird.
Yeah. And Laird in the public record now. So is that what it is? Does he get niche people to say things that are really inflammatory in that niche world, right? I mean,
yes,
that's a big fact that Maya, which we all knew, right? I remember hearing that back in the day, that Maya got all kind of flack for surfing, and a bunch of people told her, including Kelly Slater, told her, you're in over your head and you're endangering people, right? Do you remember that story?
I mean, literally in over her head. She almost drowned at Nazareth.
Yeah. And then a bunch of dude surfers saying, you shouldn't be here, endangering yourself, endangering others, get out of the water, right? But then now, 5 years on or 10 years on, or however long ago that was, when you read it sort of, or in the interview with Graham, it fully came off to me like Kelly and Laird were both rudely cyberbullying poor little Maya Gabeira. Did it not come off that now, this time around?
No, it did not to me. I fully agree. I fully agreed with Laird and Kelly in this. So that was the exact headline of the YouTube video. And we'll post it, of course, on the show, on the website with today's episode. But Maya Gabeira is being interviewed by Graham Benzinger, and he's like, hey, you had that near-death experience at Nazareth where you almost drowned. They had to bring your lifeless body to the beach and be resuscitated and all that sort of stuff. And I heard that Kelly and Laird reached out to you, and what did they say to you? And ultimately, she reveals that they admonished her. And Kelly said, well, I can't distinguish who said what, but they both essentially said, you have no right being out there in waves that big. You're not properly prepared. You're not qualified. You haven't done the requisite training, and you could die out there. And so please take my advice as somebody who's gone through all of that stuff, and don't do it, because you could die. And that's dangerous, And her response was she was totally offended, and she now doesn't speak to either of them. And I don't think she was even friends with them prior, but she has no interest. And she took offense to their advice.
I stand with Maya. I am with Maya.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go first.
I,
I'll go first.
yeah, you go first.
Okay, so when it first happened, I and remember reading about it and remember passively nodding along, thinking, "Oh yeah, she's endangering everybody here, and yeah, she doesn't belong, and whatever, she's causing problems, and get her out." This time around, I thought that 5 years ago, Chaz Smith deserves to be canceled for that kind of sentiment. Let Maya Gabeira do what she wants. What's it your opinion, or what's it to you, Kelly Slater and Laird Hamilton? If she goes out there and drowns and takes 5 people down with her, then it's still none of your business. One, two. If she was a dude, they wouldn't have said that. If she was an underprepared dude, they would have just thought, "Us, here's an underprepared dude out here," and whatever. Maybe they would have given him a little bit of guff, but not like a call you up and admonish you. 3, let the girl do what she wants. Again, if she wants to go out there and do it, if she's got the gall, the guts, the brazen to go out there and tackle Nazare, then great, go for it. Anybody who's got the urge, go for it. And if you get really messed up doing it, then that's too bad. But also, do it. Kelly, mind your own damn business, Karen.
I think you're having a problem. I think you're having a very difficult time accepting the fact that Kelly and Laird are sympathetic, kind-hearted, like sensitive people. They saw somebody almost die, and this person dodged a bullet. And they thought, well, this person is in my awareness. I've seen them for a few years. They probably respect my opinion. I'm going to reach out privately. And actually, Kelly's was private. I don't know if Laird's was. I forget how Laird reached out, but she said Kelly DM'd her. So Kelly reached out privately and sent her a message saying exactly what I said before. And so I think that's the right way to handle it. It's not like he went on Joe Rogan's podcast and led with that story of, "Oh my God, there was this woman and she did this and it's terrible for surfing." He reached out to her privately and said, "I'm concerned." And I think that it was also all based off of years and years in lineups, toe-in lineups specifically, where there isn't the barrier of entry that there is in paddle-in lineups. And they just thought there's a lot of kind of reckless people who are new to the sport who are certainly clogging the lineup, but secondly, aren't qualified to be out here. And she ended up being the tip of that spear. And so she caught their vitriol.
Guess what? She went and won a Guinness Book of World Records after that. She's rubbing that Guinness Book of World Record for the biggest wave ever ridden. Is it by anyone or by a female?
I think it's by anyone, but she didn't deserve it because Justine DuPont should have gotten that.
Well, that aside, she can go rub a whole pint of Guinness, a whole big stick loaf-like pint of Guinness right in Laird and Kelly's noses. What she should do, getting in her business.
So what about this though? Whether or not they were right to do it, her response to me was bizarre. Like her response of, "Fuck those guys, I'm not listening to them," is freaking bizarre. These are the best surfers, the most qualified people in the world giving you advice. Why would her response be, "I'm not going to listen to their advice"?
Because what if their advice was what if they're the best, etc., for keeping everybody else down? What if they're not aware of it, but
Kelly's not even surfing big waves. Kelly's not even towing in. He has no skin in the game.
Sure, but also Kelly has skin in the I want to be front and center and grab every headline game. And I definitely do not doubt his that he felt honestly when he told her, watch out, that he meant that, right? He wasn't trying to big up himself or anything like that. But you also got to wonder what, subtly, not that he's aware of it, but subconsciously, what else is his motivation, right? Well, does he have ulterior motives? Does Laird, by keeping this poor Brazilian girl down, just wants to go out and ride big waves? Mind your damn business, Kelly.
See, I think the culture we're living in right now, in relation to that initial story we started with about the gym in New York, this conversation could only exist today, where, this is just people giving her advice. And the fact that the advice is misconstrued as, holding the female surfer down and trying to elevate their own limelight or anything is just so not accurate.
But what if it is kind of though? What if she was like,
It's
just give me a
not.
chance? Like, sure, I'm gonna wipe out a couple times.
She
Maybe
should
it's gonna be
have.
sketchy. I didn't die.
She should
And
have.
I'm
She
still
should have said that. She should have been like, "Hey, Laird, I'm coming to Maui or wherever they live, Kauai, and I'm gonna I would love to train with you. Or Kelly, give me some advice, give me some pointers." Instead, she says, F those guys. I'm offended. I'm never listening. After she just got dragged out of the ocean lifelessly.
Except she also said that though, when was the original incident? She said that 5 years on, where she went
Yeah.
out and like proved herself, right? And so I think now, at the time she said it too, but great, use that as motivation. Don't ask those damn guys for help. There's plenty of people who can help you. Who's her tow partner again? Is it
Carlos Burle.
Burle? Yeah, Carlos Burle is like a legend though, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you and Carlos go stink and get it, which I feel the Maya Gabeira story is the perfect sort of counterpoint. Yes, I do, like, this conversation could only exist today, but I feel this is a counterpoint conversation where instead of being offended and asking for something, she went out and took it, right? Like, there's no doubt, and sure, it could be the Justine DuPont wave versus the Maya wave. We could split hairs over that, but nobody can split hairs that Maya has continued to charge over the past since that incident where she got drug around at Nazareth. And
completely.
so
She didn't quit. She overcame.
And she didn't like say, these guys kept me down and that was my, that's why I'm not as good as Diane, whatever. She just went out and literally got a Guinness Book of World Records. So like, feel that, I don't know, her not playing, because she wasn't playing victim there. She went out and did it and was like, fuck these guys for telling me that. Like, where if that was part of that burned in her to go continue to do it after almost drowning, good on her, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. She's got the consuming fire for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing I love about her specifically is, let's be honest, she's not the most naturally talented. Like, everything that she's achieved is due to that exact thing. It's due to hard work and grit and all that.
And in scary stuff, like how many people have the guts to throw themselves, over one of those waves, or toe in, and the fact that she does it and that's her thing is more power to her.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of Maya. After that Graham thing, I'm a fan.
Yeah,
even though I don't listen.
Good on Graham. So I think back to him, he is doing exactly what you said, but they're also something we need to take cues from. Cutting the episode into 3 to 8 minute segments of the most sensational bits and putting a clickbaity title on it.
Well, and somehow knowing, you're right. He must have really good producers, and clearly that one doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that Kelly, the two biggest figures in surfing, shaming this beautiful Brazilian girl for trying to surf big waves would be, salaciously perfect.
Yeah.
But still, I feel they do that regularly, of knowing the nuance of something to get the right bit out there. And he knows the right questions to ask. They know the right questions to cut around, and then boom, they got some.
I would never watch a full episode of one of his things if it was 40 minutes, but I'll watch, 6 or 5 8-minute episodes of it because each title pulls me in. Literally, the next thing they fed me was Niki Lauda, the race car driver, about how every ex-wife that he has still hates him, and so I was like, ooh, his ex-wives hate him. So I click on it and it's just about, if you're going to win if you're going to be the best in the world at what you do, you have to have this mindset that doesn't accommodate for anybody else's feelings. And so I watched that, and then I got sucked into his interview with Ryan Sheckler, talking about burning through millions of dollars, taking friends to dinner and drinking with alcoholism, So he hooked me.
Man, I'm telling you, we should get Graham on the show.
I know, we really should. How do you do it, Graham?
Graham's going to tell us, just like Kelly and Laird told Maya, give up. You guys got nothing, and you're endangering your listeners with your stupidity.
Where did Graham even come from?
He's got to. The name Graham Benziger sounds so much like BBC to me, but I don't even know if he's BBC.
It's like they groomed him for the BBC and then put him straight on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like he came. I don't know. It's weird. He looks like he's on the BBC. He's wearing a suit, his hair, the way that he talks, all of it. But they're cutting it font, like it's YouTube. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Real smart. Good job, Graham.
Really bizarre. Before we go to commercial break, actually, let's go to commercial break, but I'll tease it. The Russian fighter children that you posted on Instagram 2 or 3 weeks ago was a stare down that I saw obviously everywhere on the internet for that week, but you did post it. And now I'm seeing it like this is it wasn't just a one-time viral video of that stare down. There's now people, video producers, probably agents and managers tracking these children, filming their every move, and you're documenting some of it. So I want to hear who those children are. I want to hear their backstory. But we'll do that after we come back from commercial.
Great.
All right, Chaz, we're back from commercial. Are these Russian children? Who are these?
They're not even children. So the blonde one, if you've seen any of them, there too. The blonde one is named Hasbullah. He is 3'8" or something, I think, 3 feet 8 inches, maybe 18 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 18 years old, Hasbullah. Both of them, I think, are, and then the other one, dark haired, and he's 17, I think, but I can't remember what his name is. He's got a good Russian name too. They both live in, why am I blanking? It's one of my favorite places in Russia.
No idea.
Come back to it. On the Caspian there, I do believe.
Okay.
I'm not thinking about dang it! It's a real gaff right there. I should have had that one pulled right up. Anyway, it's a. Where's Naguib from?
I have no idea.
You don't know where? I thought you were MMA. Hold on, let me look here.
I don't. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know who Naguib is. You mean Khabib? Khabib?
Yeah, that dude. Hasbullah Magomadev. They are from. Oh yeah, he's just in the sun today. Machakla, where is he? Mini Khabib is what they call him. Why can't I find this? Region. Where you at, Khabib? Oh man, the other one. Well, damn it. This is embarrassing. I'll get there. But yeah, so anyway, these guys are sensations, but they're from like a total MMA area where I look at that name so much and wonder how sportscasters are able to say it so
I've never even tried to say it. I've never tried to say it in my head. I look at it and I just gloss over it.
Oh yeah, I practice at home saying it.
Well, a lot of good that's done you.
Yeah, I know. It's Dagestan. Sorry, I don't know why it took me that long. I didn't even find it. Pulled it out, man. Dagestan. Dagestan, a fascinating part of Russia. Totally awesome. Islamic. Yeah, all up against the Caucasus borders. I do believe Georgia, which I recommend highly. Georgia. Been to Tbilisi myself. It's a beautiful town. But anyway, yeah, these kids are great, and they're everywhere now. I feel I was kind of early on it too, which makes me feel good. I feel I was posting them.
What is their affliction? Why are they so small, and why do they look like children?
They're midgets. They're dwarves, I do believe. The Russian
dwarves. Yeah. Dwarves have a different proportion. Like I don't want to describe them because I'll probably get canceled. But they look like actual children. Dwarves don't look like children.
They do. I think they are either dwarves or midgets. I don't know what exactly it is. One they're saying had rickets as a kid, and I don't know. They both have something. It's all sort of up in the air. But the Russian Dwarf Association, Athletic Association, did weigh in on the spectacle of these two fighting and saying this is not sport. This is a laughing show, I do believe is what they called it.
So are they going to fight?
I think they are. I think it's set up. I think it's like, I think a date has been set and they're gonna, yeah, little Naguib is like out pumping iron and stuff, getting ready. Hasbullah.
First of all, how is the internet not getting canceled for making fun? Because they're strictly making fun.
That's what the Russian Dwarf Association, sporting associations, I think, point is. But I think it's, I don't know, in this day and age, to be able to laugh. And I think those guys are laughing too, right? Like they know that they're now TikTok, Instagram, YouTube celebrities. And so they're all playing it up. And I think enjoying, I suppose the argument could be made. Is it healthy for anyone to get that kind of viral fame and run with it?
Right.
But they're part of it. And I don't know if it's his brother, someone is like managing his stuff. And so, I'm sure they're getting paid out on all their YouTube video clicks and stuff like that. I think they're living the dream. They're green.
I've never even seen them tagged in anything. I didn't know that they had an actual like persona online or an Instagram handle. I thought it was all
Hasbullah Magdum something. MAG Hasbullah.
.ru.
Yeah. All you need is Hasbullah anymore. It's everywhere. Kid's famous.
Okay, but one of them's certainly more famous than the other.
Hasbullah is more famous. The other one's a singer, I guess, though. So he might have been more famous in Dagestan. But Hasbullah, I think, Hasbullah's got a face that you can't help but love. I think that's what's blowing him up. They're like, he's like, I don't know. It's hard to look at his face and think any bad thought at all, and not even thinking like dismissive thoughts. There's just something enjoyable about the kid.
He looked like a child. Obviously that was the premise of the joke, but they were so emotive. It was like the most emotive children you've ever seen. They have more expression in their face than an old man. And so them being two children being angry at each other and wanting to fight, and the full-size adult being able to just hold them off, like by putting his hand on their head gently, was pure comedy. But this is all kind of blowing my mind. All these new details. I didn't know you'd have this many details. It's blowing my mind.
It's all, and I don't have nearly as many as I should. I'm sure there's a bunch more out there. The listeners should. It's worth the rabbit hole to go down. Star. Like this thing.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yep, Hasbullah. Maybe he's going to be as big as Kim Kardashian someday. I'd be so happy if Lil Hasbullah was on the top of a Kardashian-esque empire.
I would too. And I really hope that they're getting paid for this fight, like a substantial amount.
I mean, I would imagine at this point, there's enough Instagram stuff and TikTok stuff and whatever that I'm sure that the YouTube views on the fight, if they do YouTube live, will be enough for some sort of payday.
It depends who's the governing body and also who their management is. But I mean, when I see those, is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul who's doing all those fights? Jake Paul?
But Jake Paul's the YouTube guy doing them. Logan Paul's his brother, who's an actual I think kind of has been boxer. So it's Logan Paul fighting Mayweather, but Jake is fighting. They're both fighting.
So the Jake Paul fights. What's that?
I'm knowing a lot about the fight game. I mean, knowing a little bit.
The Jake Paul stuff, I didn't even know him as a YouTube celebrity. Like, I've never watched a single one of his YouTube videos, but he would pop up in pop culture. And then I just think, God, that guy's so douchey. But clearly he's just trying to be a provocateur to elevate his persona. And so I understood that. Excuse me. So when he started fighting, I fully understood why. I just thought he'd get knocked out in the first round. And then he's won those last two fights, and you see the prize purse and you go, oh my gosh, this makes perfect sense. And it also makes perfect sense but why the legitimate fighter would actually take the fight, because it's the biggest payday they've ever seen.
He's huge. I think boxing, to be honest, like obviously, I don't follow tons of boxing, but I think it's the boxing community is really split, or boxing fans, and listeners, please weigh in. But I feel that people are really split between Jake Paul is making a mockery of the sport we love, and others saying, no, our sport is all about this weird flamboyant stuff. And there's these people who pop up periodically who are, yeah, they're like weird showmen. Are they serious? Are they not? But, you know, eventually over enough fights, I feel boxing always sorts itself out. Like eventually, if he's not that serious, he's going to get knocked out. If he is serious and, you know, fights like better and better people, then he's a legit boxer. Then isn't boxing all about the show anyway? Where
Totally.
that's what I like. And this is what I think surfing could draw from this world of thinking, if it's all about the show, let's really work on the show. Can't we make it a better show? It doesn't have to be flamboyant and dumb. We don't have to have, I mean, thinking all the way back to having what's his name surf at the Surf Ranch Pro. No, what's his name? Comedian.
Oh yeah, Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill, having Jonah, like this kind of stuff, right? Like all these celebrities who like to surf, do a celebrity surf off at Surf Ranch. Like, think about the show and what would be interesting, and like present something that's more interesting. Why not?
So imagine
Like,
imagine that at the Ultimate Surfer. If one of those Instagram, you know, one of the surfers who doesn't have as much, let's say, surf credibility, Mason Barnes, who I've never heard of before, is on the show, and Luke Davis or Zeke Lau, they have some sort of surf prowess and professional career that they're banking off of. What if Mason Barnes is the bigger showman who's flamboyant and just creates a better show and ends up winning and gets a spot on the CT? Like that would be more interesting actually than watching Zeke Lau do it yet again.
the problem, I think, when you tie it to performance, I feel then you've got thinking this is the exact nexus of gravy of
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget names today. Like Ben Gravy is the total nexus of somebody who kind of sucks but is really good at performance. And do you want to watch Ben Gravy? Let's be honest.
No, I don't want to watch him surf, but yeah.
A ton of people like that, and that's great. And Mason Barnes, have that being Ben Gravy. I just watched a Ben Gravy thing where he cut a. But did you see it? I just saw a clip on Instagram, but I watched it like 3 times. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He went and cut a piece of plywood. I was like, "I'm gonna surf this plywood, man. I'll surf this." And his bros were like, "No way!" And one was like, "Yeah, it'll work. It'll work." Another one was like, "No way. You want to round the corners? No, I'm just gonna surf it like this. Piece of plywood, right? Like a square." I've seen so many Kelly Slater's friggin' surfed a table before. Like, this is not a new going out and surfing a board, like a flat piece of wood and or a piece of plywood is not new. Like everyone in that video was acting like the first time anyone's ever attempted to surf a piece of plywood, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, haven't you seen people surf plywood before?
Yeah.
It's a thing. Okay, so that's all. But thinking, so don't be that unaware. Don't be all like, "No way, not going to work." Yeah, it's going to work. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm a crazy man because I'm doing something that's been done a bunch of times. Sorry, Ben Gravy on that one. But
Yeah.
like, I think that tying it to performance, or I don't know, there's something. I just want to see celebrity surf at this point. Just put a heat of stinking Rob Lowe and Jonah Hill. I would love to see. I mean, that to me would be funny.
Do you follow Jonah Hill on Instagram?
I don't. Do you?
I started ever since we've been talking about him. Dude, the guy is, I'm going to say experimenting with drugs, like experimenting with mushrooms. Like he's gone off into a very creative bent that I'm not complaining about at all. Like I have a feeling he's going to be in a very productive period of his life. But the only thing that I could attribute it to is mushrooms. Like it's bizarro. It's very bizarro and it's very entertaining. And it's all very love oriented, you know, it's like togetherness and love and everybody's awesome and all that sort of stuff, but it's bizarro.
Do you recommend?
Yeah.
You recommend
Absolutely.
following, going along for the journey?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, if it was like, I think the Hemsworth brothers, Chris and Liam, proper rip, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's rumor on the street.
I don't think they rip. Like they'll do a couple turns and make it down the line, but they're not like flaring the
I
fins
would
and
like,
doing an
yeah, I
air
wonder,
reverse.
there's got to be a celebrity who rips though, right? I would love to be surprised by a celebrity, like somebody that you've sort of laughed at for being kooky or whatever, but then you see a wave and you think, whoa, he's like legit.
I don't think that exists.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think Chris Hemsworth
No.
could throw a Zeke Lau hack?
I think we'd be impressed that he surfs better than we anticipated, but he doesn't proper rip. It just takes
Okay,
too
well,
much time to be good at, and you can't
again,
you can't have like a
I'll defy our listeners to find clips a celebrity ripping.
yeah.
Does
Yeah.
celebrity?
I'd love to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
All right, barrel or not, Chaz, let's close out the show. Again, pulled straight from the Val, I don't know, themed episode, taking a surf lesson. This came from a listener. He said, should a beginner or intermediate surfer take a lesson? I started surfing in about 1976. Never have I paid for a lesson because it was surfing, bro, but I really could have used one.
I hear you. And I say absolutely not, unless that is like a wave key thing where I don't know how to differentiate between performance enhancement, I suppose, and a lesson, right? Like
I would say the difference is what the instructor is getting paid. So if the instructor could make more money working at, I don't know, Starbucks, then maybe that you should not be taking surfing instruction from them. But if it's Brad Gerlach or Taylor Knox, maybe you do take instruction from them.
So that's it. And I would take, for example, if and when I go down to Waco, if I can grab Jimmy Kane Wilson down there with me, I would take surf instruction from him, right? Like I have no problem with the instruction. Who is instructing you? I think that's the whole around to it. That's the whole question. Who is instructing?
Okay. So it's not payment, it's who's instructing.
Exactly. Who is instructing? And so to this guy, if he wants to go get a lesson from Gerlach or Hall or anyone, then I would say, have at it. Like that is money well spent.
Let's talk about a brand new surfer. If it's a beginner, somebody's surfing like for their first time, they're going on to Hawaii on vacation. Should they pay for a lesson from Turtle Bay?
No, figure it out. Unless it's Jamie O'Brien. He teaches lessons at Turtle Bay now. He kicked Hans Human. Yeah, it's Jamie O'Brien Surf School at Turtle Bay. So if you're going to go to Turtle Bay and get a lesson and you don't get Jamie O'Brien as an instructor, then I would demand money back and or see if you have an option for, a cheeseburger, is Mason Ho kicking around? Is anyone who's participating there? But if it's just some rando, then I would say no.
Is this like an Airbnb experience or
no?
What?
Remember it used to be Hans Hedeman Surf School at Turtle Bay? Now it's Jamie O'Brien's Surf Experience.
But he's not actually teaching the classes, is he?
I'm sure he drops in from time to time to say hi to everybody and whatnot. I'm sure there's like a appearance requirement from time to time. Yeah, definitely not on the regular schedule, I wouldn't think.
That is wild to me. But I fully agree with you. Like, and again, it's totally biased, is just based on my own upbringing. But the idea was you just go and you figure it out. And there's also like, it's discovering surfing, right? It's not learning how to surf. So the idea was go to the beach and just get in the water and discover this thing. And you spend 2 years just learning the motions and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't meant to be learned. It wasn't meant to go through this methodical practice and get up and ride a wave by the end of the first day. It was more just absorbing yourself in the experience.
And not just you and your experience, but observing others, right? Like finding the person who you think is surfing the best out there. Like first discovering what good surfing is. Like, okay, why is this, totally instinctively figuring out why do I like this guy surfing better than this guy surfing, right? Because I think it all is anybody. You can put any Val on the beach, any complete non-surfer on the beach, I think, and put 4 surfers in the water, and they could suss out. This is what always makes me crazy about WSL too. They could suss out who the better surfer is. I mean, unless they're all equal, right? But if you had like 4 surfers of varying skill levels out there, every novice kook, person who has no interest in surfing could figure out, okay, the guy pumping down the line and doing that is better, right? Like, I think that's innate. Versus the guy who's going straight versus the guy who, whatever. Like, it's all easy. But so sorting that out, who's the best surfer in the water, watching how are they doing it? Are they dragging their knee when they're getting up? Oh, they're not. That's what I'm doing. I've noticed that. So I should stop doing that. But yeah, you're totally right. It's an experience. It's not something you're told and then you mimic until you get to be your plateaued level, and then have Brad Gerlach tell you what to do.
When we connected on Zoom, I was trying to listen to that Dana White interview with Stab's podcast. Danny Johnson is the one who does it. It made me realize in very, very quick, like I wanted to actually hear what Dana had to say. But it made me realize within 2 minutes of hearing him talk that the Ultimate Surfer will not work and it will not translate to a broader audience.
Because why?
Dana White had no idea what he was talking about. He had no idea what surfing is about. He had no idea how it appeals to a broader fan base. He was trying to speak as if he did. And Danny's questions were about, you are the producer of this show. How is it similar? It's called The Ultimate Surfer, and it's essentially a franchising of The Ultimate Fighter, right? And so Danny's questions were obvious. They were like, how is this similar to fighting? You've grown The Ultimate Fighter from a losing business into a business that's valued at $7 billion and also appeals to everybody. And so Dana White explains, doesn't matter where you're from, how old you are. If you see a fight break out, you know who the better fighter is. And you're just instinctively interested in watching to see how this fight ends. And then he tries to use that as an analogy to surfing. And he's like, and he starts explaining it. And it's like, but then he also explains he himself doesn't understand how scoring works in surfing. He can't tell the difference between 2 different surfers in the lineup. He can't, and it's like, no, you just explained why this will never work in what you're in the format that you're trying to do it. And I mean, we talk about this all the time and we know that it's impossible to translate. And then he says that he hates the core. He's like, I don't give a F about the core. F the core. I want the broad audience. I want the people who don't know about it. And you're just like, oh no, Dana, like if you don't get it, A, you don't get the sport, B, you don't get how to translate the sport, then it's a lost cause.
I mean, and for sure, Ultimate Fighter did not work because he said F people who like watching fights. Like, I mean, there's the core audience, like, I think we overuse core a lot, but the core audience is your audience. And then you can grow it out from that if you're smart. But if people who liked fighting, watching fights, were totally disinterested in UFC, it would have never gone anywhere.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, barrel or nah, taking a surf lesson. I'm going heck nah. Go out there and just discover it.
Yep. Nah, unless you're getting it from a notable professional surfer.
So barrel if you're an intermediate surfer trying to improve, but no barrel if you're new.
Not learning how to stand on a wave.
Barrel or nah, based on this past week's learning experience from you, barrel or nah, making fun of the vowels.
Oh, always barrel. Like, just like all the way back to the start of the show, where those vowels who were in that New York room, if you laugh along with the joke, you're no longer, or you're part of the joke. Where we're all part of the joke, right? Like, we're Kook of the Day, this tagline, which I always think is clever and, well done, is some days it's me, some days it's you, or something like that. Like, we're all kooks. I think their thing is we're all kooks in our own way or whatever. Like, we're all kooks. Like, and so when you're laughed at for kooky behavior, for vowel-like behavior, for being a vowel, for any of it, it just means you're part of the club. As long as you can laugh back, take your laughs and then laugh at somebody else. Like, you pay the laugh forward. If you get mad and grumpy and take your surf set, exercise equipment, and go home, then yeah, more laughs on you. But it's all part of it. It's laughing at others being laughed at is a big part of the surf experience.
Fully agree. I mean, we are in a bizarro world where you're not allowed to get laughed at. Like the idea that you can live the misconception of the snowflake culture that you could go throughout your life and not be made fun of or laughed at is going to end in desperation and frustration. You are going to be. If you ever step outside of your comfort zone, other people are going to laugh. And it's better that you learn early and often how to deal with that frustration and overcome it rather than trying to hide from it at every step. And so
totally. You don't have to become a clown. You don't have to be like, oh, look at me, I'm a jokester and I'm a laughing stock and everybody laughs. Look at my laughy thing. Like, it's just part of life. Like, laugh.
It's part of life. It's part of life, And so making fun of the Val, I think, is constructive. I obviously don't think you need to bully anybody. You certainly don't need to violently attack anybody, but making fun, poking fun the way that you did on Instagram, all of that was totally good natured. It was all in good fun. And the fact that they would view it as a threat to their business and be offended by it is just depressing to me, actually.
I went on the other day to try to look at another clip and realized I was blocked. So they blocked me. Yeah.
How does that bode for their business?
Doesn't bode well. Yeah.
I mean, they got an article out of it, and you guys hyperlinked to their business. So hopefully that makes amends. Barrel or nah? Again, advice for the Vals: putting stickers on your surfboard.
I'm gonna go barrel.
Wow.
I think we've been through the desert of no stickers so long. I'm all back for sticker those things up. Like, I loved as a kid going into a surf shop and picking out my stickers, and I wouldn't often put them on my boards. Usually they went on the chest of drawers at home. Did you have a stickered up chest of drawers at home?
I did. Yeah, of course.
Like a fully maximized stickered up. Yeah. But yeah, I'm all about stickers. Like, and I think that you got to have a clean board and a clean look and all that. Boring. Stick a Billabong, a Quicksilver, a Gotcha, stick them all like right next to each other. Go for it. Have at it.
Conflicting brands, even. Those brands don't want to be associated with you.
Precisely. That's the best part. When you just take what they want and what they think and just sticker them all up on your damn board, you're taking ownership again. Sponsored by all three. Yeah, I'm all for stickering. Barrel.
Well, apparently, based on listener emails, the vast majority of our audience is Vals, and so they will be identifiable in the lineup by taking that advice.
Just think how much pleasure. Just go in, like, and pick your stickers too. Like, go into the surf shop counter, look down through the glass, and say, I want that one, that one, that one, that one. Put them. Get a T and C in there. Get a Channel Islands, put the TNC and Channel Island sticker next to each other on your board. That is a mayhem. Do it all.
Does that sticker counter still exist?
I don't know.
Dude, I fully remember that. Everything under glass and like the wax was there. The VHS videos are over there and all the stickers are right there. And you're just like, I was wondering how much they were, but it was written on the back and I was too embarrassed to ask. Because I had like $5 and I also needed Taco Bell because I was starving after surfing and waiting for my parents to pick me up. And I'm like, all right, if I buy a burrito, that'll cost $1.50. And then I've got a little bit left over. I don't want to, the chick working at the counter is pretty hot. And I don't want to like ask her for the prices and imply that I don't have enough money to buy for this. It was a lot of angst going through my mind.
There's a lot of pressure with the stickers, but bring it back. It'll help harden the Val up and make him a gal.
Wow. Okay. Wow. There's solid advice from one Chaz Smith, everybody.
Yep. Buy stickers.
All right. Well, hey, great show. Went 90 minutes unexpectedly. I don't know if we said it at the top of the show, but this is the latest we've ever recorded. 6 p.m. recording. We're done at 7:30.
Wow. Without even any booze for me. Lucky man over there.
I really thought it was going to be a boozy show. I'm disappointed.
Should have been.
Well, at any rate, thanks for taking time away from your family on a Friday night to be here, Chaz.
It's my pleasure. Thank you all listeners. Subscribe, hit those notifications.
When that Channel Island's too happy.
Yeah, do it. Do it. It's worth it.
So even though we weren't recording at Album Surfboards today, you still went there?
I did. Matt,
Why?
gracious. I'm going on a Cabo little mini surf trip on Sunday. And I wanted to get the wife on an ASIM for so long. And so Matt tossed me a loaner because I want to see how she goes. I think she'll like it. But then he also loaned me one of the 410 little foamies for the daughter. So I think I showed it to her when I got home and her eyes popped out of her head. So she gets her own board. Everybody gets a board. Matt Parker is the Oprah of surfboards for my family. You get a board. You get a board. You get a board. Yeah.
Is your wife regular or goofy?
Goof.
And what's the length of the board that he gave her approximately?
Ooh, I think it is a 5, looks 5'8"-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I was just wondering, there was one board in our studio last week that he loaned me 2 years ago, and it's still sitting there as a loaner, but it's like 6'7", I think. And that thing was a magic. That thing was a dream board. Like, I absolutely loved it. So
this one,
maybe he gave that to her.
I've had one of these. Is it the Dissim? Yeah. And it was probably my favorite board that I've ever had. I got to get another one of those. But yeah, see how she goes. I will report back, trying to inflict asymmetrical surfboards on others. Tell you how it goes.
So are you going to be back home in time for next week's recording?
No, I'll be mobile.
Do you want to do it via Zoom?
Oh yeah.
Okay, sweet. I'll see you next week in Cabo.
In Cabo.
Until then, Chaz.
Yep, arrow.